recognition. I am both honored and humbled here to be here tonight. I suppose when you get a recognition like this, it means you're at the tail end of your career. And arguably, most days I feel like I'm just getting started. The beauty of our industry is you get to meet so many talented people and make friendships that often last our professional careers. I have watched past inductees talk about the big deals and the friends that they have met along the way. But tonight, I would like to discuss a few lessons and examples of leadership that I had the pleasure to learn along the way. I had the opportunity to mediate a panel with Judge Gerber, who presided over the General Motors bankruptcy at the Western District FBA seminar one year. And one of the things he told me he learned at judges training was to be mindful of the decisions that they make because it impacts so many people who are not in the courtroom. But if you think about the representation in court, almost everyone is represented but the employees. Arguably, the employees have the most at stake. They are almost never represented. The outcomes often determine their livelihood and impact their families. Our senior judge of the Western District, now retired Jim Gregg, approached me on a very big trucking insolvency. Debtor and creditor had national financial advisors who couldn't agree on what day it was when it came to the cash collateral order. Jim asked me to be his expert in a seldom used provision in the code. I asked Jim very simply, why did he think this was necessary? And he stated, I have two very qualified firms in front of me, and I can't tell you who's telling the truth. I have to get this right because 3,000 jobs in my community are at stake. That struck me because oftentimes in the heat of the battle, we forget who has a vested outcome in the very things that we are fighting about that are invisible or faceless in the process. I think as a firm that has separated us from the pack, we don't think outcomes have to be win or lose. We think of the impact of our outcome on all parties. I have yet to see a party with an upper hand suffer by giving a little. When I left Deloitte after managing our middle market practice, I became partners in the real estate business with a 76-year-old Hall of Fame builder who had an 8th grade education. He flew 51 bombing missions in World War II and was shot down 3 times. Tough as nails and arguably had looked God in the eye several times. He had led the labor negotiations representing his trade organizations in terms of labor settlements. But he had 2 rules of thumb in negotiation. All parties had to walk away tall, and if everybody didn't like the deal, then it was a good deal. In our transactional practice, we have investigated frauds, Ponzi schemes, and failed M&A deals. I would tell you in many cases, people forgot where the goal line of life was. There are no shortcuts, and I've yet to see how lying or cheating in a business transaction has ever been a sustainable business model. One of the things as a professional that has concerned me is the erosion of our ethical standards. I don't know if this has been as a result of complying with international marketplace where such attribute is not valued. But one of the great things about the United States is that we have rules in business that we enforce. And it is the reason that we are the greatest place in the world for invested capital. However, when I was TMA president, chapter president in Detroit, I had the opportunity to interview Frank Abagnale of Catch Me If You Can fame. During our course of conversation, he talked about a study that Professor Jennings at Arizona State had put together on ethics. She studied high school students that were seniors that had grade point averages of 3.5 or higher. And she asked a very simple question, had you ever cheated on an exam or paper in high school? And this study was done in the late 80s, and only 10 to 15% of those said that they had actually done that. 20 years later, that percentage with the same question was over 90%. And she expanded her question to understand why. And everybody had a reason. You know, everybody does it, I only did it once, I needed it to get ahead, you know, I needed to keep my grade point up to go to college. She then expanded her study to include moms and asked, would you commit a felony for a life-saving drug for your child? 95% said absolutely, they wouldn't even think twice about it. When asked the same question for their husbands, only 45% said. Which I learned last night from Janet Tweet, but that was probably overstated. But the point is, everybody has a line, and this line is getting eroded. I had 2 partners at Deloitte that were Harvard grads that received jail time and SEC sanctions for fraudulent reporting on transactions. If our finest schools cannot help us in this area, we have a problem. And as successful professionals, I think we have a duty to teach that next generation. Brains mean very little when it comes to ethics and moral fiber. I think as professionals in this industry, we also certainly have God-given gifts. I have always believed too much is given, much is expected. Consequently, as business people, we have duty to make our places we live and work better. I have watched Dan Gilbert personally transform Detroit as one of the coolest places to live, visit, and work by his commitment to the community and to the downtown business district. Detroit, where I have lived my whole life, has been the incubator of some of the most successful transactional and turnaround firms in the United States, not spawned out of a national accounting firm. Alex Partners, BBK, Conway McKenzie, Stout, Mackinac Partners, and my firm all have roots that started in Detroit. Unfortunately, when you are the great engine of commerce like Detroit has been, you also have plenty of opportunities to practice your financial services craft with some of the largest bankruptcies in their respective segment, with General Motors, Kmart, and the city of Detroit. But all of these prolific cases show giants can fall and nothing lasts forever. And it does give meaning to the adage, success is not final, but failure is not fatal, as all have successfully reorganized. We often are remembered about how we've handled adversity, and not how we've managed success. Finally, I've been blessed with great support. My wife Carol, who's here with me tonight, has never been in my shadow and has often been my light. I'm joined here tonight by my partners Sue and Andy, and Jen. Sue and Jen have been my first 2 hires 18 years ago. I'm glad you're here tonight. And Mike Deegan and Andy Malik, who lead our real estate and intellectual property division. And my 2 sons who've traveled quite far, Brian from Arizona and Matt joining us from Michigan. I'm proud of the way you guys have turned out as husbands, fathers, and sons. We give you great pride. So on that note, I want to thank the M&A for this honor. I'm truly overwhelmed by this recognition, and I'd like to leave you with an Irish blessing. So if you would raise your glass in celebration. Some ships are good ships, some ships are wood ships, and some ships sail the sea. But the best ships are friendships, and may that always be. So the luck of the Irish be with you, and your happiness reach new heights, and whatever road that we travel in M&A transactions, may it be filled with nothing but green lights. Thank you.